Christian Horner's been the big man around town for quite a few years now, courtesy of his accolades, the extent of the Red Bull dominance, and the fact that he was able to take on and dethrone 8-time Constructors champion Toto Wolff when none of the other team principals would have dared. Almost like a samurai now, Christian Horner appears to have absorbed Toto Wolff's powers, taken all of his previous victories from him. It's safe to say that all the other team principals now appear to be more scared of Christian Horner than they ever were Toto Wolff. Indeed, there is a new sheriff in town. All the other team principals, that is, barring one. His name is Zak Brown. Now, this dude is an absolute terrier. He will not let Christian Horner go unchallenged because in Zak Brown's mind, he thinks he should be the next one. He will be the next Constructors Championship. You know what? I'm here for it. I love the bluster. We are here for the friction as F1 fans. You'll remember the cost cap debacle of 22 and the numerous team principal press conferences where this was the subject of the day, during all of which Zak Brown, the McLaren team principal, would not take one step back. You'll remember when asked, Zak Brown talked in unequivocal terms. If you breach the cost cap by even £1, said the American, that you have cheated. It is cheating and you should be punished accordingly. Now, everybody else was thinking it right. All the other team principals, though, they stayed silent. Zak Brown does not care. He doesn't suffer fools gladly, nor will he be bullied by anyone. And I'm here for it. Fast forward to 220224 and Zak Brown has been asked about the ongoing investigation of Christian Horner, and once again where other team principals feared to tread, Zak Brown ran in head first, and I'm here for it. He said words to the effect of, listen, it's not good for F1. This investigation needs to be transparent, complete and robust, and the quicker it's rounded off, the better. Regarding said allegation, Craig Sater of Sky Sports F1 has reported that he's expecting this to conclude circa early next week. Ergo, Christian's tone when talking about this, when responding to Zak Brown's claims, was more serious now, more somber. Read into that whatever you will. You know, I've got to be honest, deep down I hope Christian Horner is ultimately deemed innocent of these allegations, if not just because I want to see Zak Brown and Horner go at it head to head for the next few years, every bit as entertaining as the action on track, if not more so. And then would you believe it, Zak Brown doubles down and talks about the conflict of interest between Red Bull and the team formerly known as AlphaTauri. This is the type of rivalry that franchises, no sporting dynasties, are built upon. See Prost and Senna. See Williams versus Dennis. See Vettel versus Hamilton. See Brown versus Horner. Oh, and of course Horner does what Horner does so brilliantly. That is playing victim and oppressor in the same space, claiming that AlphaTauri, or the team formerly known as AlphaTauri, should be commended for the jobs and opportunities that they've provided and not derided. And I mean, you read that and he's got a point, but does that overtype the fact that there is a conflict of interest? Well, not really. But ultimately, don't hate the player, hate the game, and the rules as they're written in 2024 allow for it currently. Oh, and by the way, the voice, the sound of the internationally syndicated broadcast on Sky F1, One Crofty, is going to take some time away. He's going to miss 3 races in the season, that is 2-4. How very dare he? Who's going to replace those not insubstantial shoes? But F1 fans should be grateful for Crofty's service. Of course, he's the voice of F1, indeed the soundtrack. But you want to ask yourself the question, in his 16 years tenure in that role, how many times have you watched a race and not heard Crofty? In all that time? 3. Bravo, Crofty. There is commitment and there is commitment. That commentator is uncommon amongst uncommon men. And in terms of silly season, Mick Schumacher's thrown his not insubstantial hat into the Lewis Hamilton seat arena. Can I be honest? I don't fancy it. My enduring memory of Mick Schumacher sons the romanticism of him being the great one, the Red Baron, Michael Schumacher's son, is him stacking it in Monaco. It was a humongous crash, and one that I wouldn't expect the driver who's going to replace Lewis Hamilton in that Mercedes seat to make. And then of course you get a Mercedes dislodging a drain cover in testing, and a vengeful drain cover wreaking havoc with a red car again. You'll remember it happened in Las Vegas. What have drain covers got against Ferraris? And principal among speculation this second day of testing is the gap between Red Bull and the other 9 teams. Albon speculates up to 5/10. Mercedes think it's nearer a second. But the legend that is the race's Mark Hughes has done some brilliant analysis. He's normalised and fact-checked, and we like that. So then let's deep dive it, because Carlos Sainz set the quickest lap of the day, 0.6 quicker than Checo Perez, but Carlos was on C4s. Now Mark Hughes argues that the time differential around Bahrain between those two compounds is circa 0.7, meaning that normalised for that, Checo Perez is still a 10th quicker than Carlos Sainz. Now building the fact that on average last year in quali trim, the Dutchman was up to 0.2 quicker than his Mexican teammate, that gives you a delta of 0.3. Offset against that 0.3, a further 0.2 being the fact that Charles Leclerc on average was 0.2 quicker than Carlos Sainz Jr. Ergo on 1 lap pace, the race's Mark Hughes estimates the gap between Ferrari and Red Bull is a 10th. But Hughes, you will see your single lap pace guesswork and raise you race simulation analysis. And surprisingly, it looks like Ferrari are quicker. I don't believe it myself, because Carlos Sainz Jr. on C3s averaged 128.2 over the course of 15 laps. Checo Perez on the same compound, 128.7s. On the C2, Sainz was 127.3. Perez, 127.4. Sainz on the C1s was 125.38 over 17 laps. Checo, 127.13 over 21 laps. And again, suffix everything I've just said with the following caveats. This is testing. No one's going to be doing quali laps until next week. They will be running, in all probability, different programs and different fuel loads. But the overarching upshot for fans of competitive racing around the world is that Ferrari might not be as far from Red Bull as we first thought.